Good evening. This is the regular joint meeting of the Oakley City Council. Oakley City Council acting as the successor agency to the Oakley Redevelopment Agency, Oakley Public Financing Authority. This meeting is called to order at 6:30 p.m. Councilmember Henderson,
Here.
Councilmember Fuller,
Dr. Ojit's here.
Councilmember Meadows,
Here.
Vice Mayor Shaw, here, and I'm the mayor, Anissa Williams. We will now have the Pledge of Allegiance done by two Oakley Elementary School students. Ariana Mesa, her parents are Crystal and Juan. She also has a brother and sister, two sisters, it looks like, Maritza and Angelina. Her favorite hobby is softball. Her favorite subject is language arts, and her favorite color is purple. We also have Brianna Hernandez. Her parents are Flor and Enrique. She has siblings Alexi, Kaylee, and Christian. Her favorite hobby is arts and crafts. Her favorite subject is also language arts, and her favorite color is baby pink. If you guys can come on up.
Please stand and get ready to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That brings us to 1.3, which is recognition of Hector Espinoza, a senior at Freedom High School and finalist in the Contra Costa Shark Tank. Freedom High School senior Hector Espinoza participated as a finalist in the first countywide high school Shark Tank competition, Contra Costa Shark Tank. He presented his creation, Synchroma Studio, a way to incorporate and store audio, video, and lighting into one hub to control all for producers of live events like concerts, public events, productions, and performances. He had guidance from his business and marketing teacher, Karen Sorensen. He is one of two students from East County to have been named a finalist. And we would love if you could come tell us about your creation.
So I'm Hector Espinoza. I'm a senior from Freedom High School, and over the past year, I've been working on my business concept, Synchroma Studio, and learning a lot about some of my interests, which is technical theater, and kind of the behind the scenes of what goes into producing a show, like a theater show, and also concerts and live events and things like that. And the Shark Tank competition really helped me kind of dig deep into those interests, learn more about what goes into producing shows, and kind of developing my own business ideas and products. And it was just a great experience. And I've had a lot of support from my teachers and mentors at Freedom High School. And I'm just really happy to be able to represent Oakley at the Shark Tank competition.
We appreciate you representing us. Do any of the members of the council have any questions for him? Awesome, thank you. I have a little gift for you. Oh, sorry.
No, just congratulations again. I mean, we got to see a presentation, 2 weeks ago? So, pretty cool.
Great. I should have just stayed down there because now we're on 1.4, the proclamation proclaiming March as Red Cross Month. We have Contra Costa Red Cross Leadership Council here to accept, I believe. All right, proclamation, American Red Cross Month 2024. Whereas March is American Red Cross Month, when we recognize the compassion of people in Contra Costa County and reaffirm our commitment to care for one another in times of crisis. And whereas this generous spirit is woven into the fabric of our community and advances the humanitarian legacy of American Red Cross founder Clara Barton, one of the most honored women in our country's history, who nobly dedicated herself to alleviating suffering. And whereas people have counted on the American Red Cross for the information and skills they need to be safe at home, at work, at school, and at play, training people in life-saving skills in CPR, first aid, fire prevention, and water safety. And whereas with 1,032 volunteers in Contra Costa County, the American Red Cross assisted or responded to 115 disasters, and through our Sound the Alarm program, the American Red Cross installed 583 smoke alarms, making 205 homes safer, and trained 577 individuals and families about fire prevention, and trained 617 youth through the Pillowcase Project and Prepare with Pedro. And whereas Contra Costa County residents donated nearly 16,736 units of life-saving blood, hosted 538 blood drives, and trained 6,522 citizens in first aid, CPR, and AED, and 3,803 in water safety, and 756 military members and their families received support and services. And humanitarian aid was provided internationally. And whereas we hereby recognize this month of March in honor of all those who lead with their hearts to serve people in need, and we ask everyone to join in the commitment to strengthen our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Anissa Williams, Mayor of the City of Oakley, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim March 2024 as Red Cross Month. Want this? Or do you want that one?
I'll use this one.
Okay, perfect.
Josh was going to take a picture. Perfect, please do. You don't mind if I make a couple of?
No, why don't you do it?
Perfect. Nice, thank you, Mayor Williams. Good evening, Council, Vice Mayor Shaw, City Council. Good evening. My name's Brian Oftedal. I'm a volunteer with the American Red Cross. I'm also on the Contra Costa County Leadership Council. I had the opportunity to join you last year to accept this proclamation. I'll make this very short and sweet. There was a lot of whereas within that presentation, but I'd just really like to thank the City of Oakley for your partnership over the years, the commitment to working with us on the preparedness side as well as blood donation side. I very much appreciate your partnership. I'd like to encourage the community, the public, to, if you haven't taken a CPR class or a first aid class recently, please come and take an American Red Cross CPR class. We have a lot of local businesses that can provide that training for you. If you haven't had an opportunity to donate blood recently, please roll up your sleeve and come and donate blood. We very much need blood. We very much need diverse blood out there as well. We have an app, the Red Cross Emergency Mobile app, that you can download on your cell phone that would give you first aid and emergency information. And really, there's a lot of great information that's been pushed out recently by the press, as well as Contra Costa News. I had the opportunity to sit down with the regional CEO of the American Red Cross today, Hannah Malak, as well as Contra Costa News, to do a podcast. So if you have an opportunity to take an hour to listen to that podcast, or even a quick moment to listen to what you can, a lot of great information from our regional CEO out there. So thank you very much again. I'm honored to accept this proclamation from the City of Oakley. Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 2, public comments. At this time, public comments will be heard for items not on the agenda. I have public speaker cards submitted. To submit a public comment, please complete a blue speaker card located in the lobby and submit to the city clerk. The time limit to speak is 3 minutes. The time limit is monitored by the timer located in front of my seat. When 1 minute remains on the timer, it will beep once as a reminder to complete comments before your time expires. Please refrain from any applause, cheering, booing, or other outbursts so that everyone may have an opportunity to be heard. Note that due to provisions of state law, the council may not engage in dialogue regarding comments. Staff may be directed to respond to persons making public comments. Our first comment is from Scott Hildebrandt.
Hi, I'm Scott Hildebrandt. I was a resident over in Neroli at 3059 Frandora Circle, and I basically got harassed by, I think it's a church or something. They came in, I believe they told my neighbors I was a drug dealer. They blasted me out of my house like I was a drug dealer. They set up behind my house with a bunch of people that looked homeless. I tried to sell my house because they wore me out. They basically held a gun to my head. They made me sign a contract. I like to call them Luca Brazzi and Vito Corleone, but their names are Frank Bermudez and Moses Polanco. So right now I made a little bit of money on the house. They did go through, but the contract was illegal when I went back. The dates were wrong. So I want to sit and maybe go through court with that. I was wondering if you guys let your residents go through that normally. And if not, have you put anything in place so it doesn't happen again? And I'm still, I know you guys can feel it. I'm not in prison. I don't have a medical condition, and I'm pissed off. I yield back.
Okay, our next public comment is from Richard Brophy.
Before my 3 minutes starts, I would just like to thank Dr. Fuller for his service to our country. Since the last time I was here some years ago, I requested that the city amend our website to include 6 simple words. Oakley is not a sanctuary city. It took me about 15 minutes to find out through about 5 different people whether we were or not, and finally I was told we were. Subsequent to that time, there's been an illegal alien invasion. And before I get into the text, let's dispel some myths and platitudes. Number one, they are illegal aliens. You can call them undocumented immigrants, displaced citizens, undocumented Democrats. I've heard it all right? Real simple. Also, the theory that, quote unquote, they're not all bad. You're right, they're not all bad. Not everybody that enters a bank is a bank robber. Or they're not all criminals. Well, the city attorney can probably attest to the fact that that is not true. That's, entering this country is illegal under 8 U.S.C. 1325. Yet we watch TV, and every night it seems that there's some illegal alien that has either committed a robbery or has committed some other felony or a murder. And by the way, I have statistics from the United States government that I'd like to leave with you. I can also leave with you a list of countless names of individuals murdered by illegal aliens. This is a failure at the federal and the state level, and it needs to be stopped. It's costing the American taxpayer millions of dollars. You notice Eric Adams thought that sanctuary city is the greatest thing in the world until they came to New York City. Now it's a crisis. These people are entering our country illegally. They're committing felonies. They're assaulting our population. They're murdering people. In fact, if you want to take a look at Laken, it's, by the way, Joe Biden, Laken Riley, was murdered. A nursing student had a beautiful career, murdered by an illegal alien, all because of the the state and local government. Also, it's found that illegal aliens are drawn to sanctuary states and cities. So the theory of, oh, it can't happen here is delusional. The 9 illegal aliens that assaulted the 2 New York police officers were set free before the 2 police officers got out of the hospital. It was only after political pressure was brought to bear that 2 of them were finally captured, and 5 apparently are on their way to California as we speak. So if you think it can't happen here, think again. Furthermore, you all took an oath of office, no less important.
Sorry, time is up.
Can I finish?
No, unfortunately, the law is for 3 minutes. Thank you, though.
Law?
Our rules here are for 3 minutes.
Well,
All right,
apparently this isn't taken with the same degree of seriousness that it should be.
Moving
All I
on
want to say
to
in the end is
Council
please amend the website to, on the page 1, Oakley's not a
Okay.
sanctuary city.
Thank you, we heard it.
Do it for your citizens.
Okay, item 3, council member comments. Do any council members have comments?
I'll answer questions if you want. I'll leave you the paperwork.
No, sorry, this is a different agenda item. Okay, seeing no council member comments, we can move on to item 4, consent calendar. Are there any items the council would like to pull or discussion, or is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Pull 4.10.
Do I have a motion to move the rest of the calendar?
I move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions? Any opposition? Seeing none, it passes. All right, item 4.10. Councilmember Fuller.
Yes, Mr. Rouhani, just a quick question. R&R Pacific Construction's bid is $99,331. And may confirm that Cowan and Thompson is $99,907.36, it looks like to me.
That's
A
correct.
difference of $876.36. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That's the only question I have. Thank you.
I move approval of 4.10. Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
One abstention.
Okay, 1 abstention and the rest 4-1.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, did you say the rest is 4-1?
4 in favor, 1 abstention.
One exemption, okay, thank you.
All right, moving on to public hearings. This is to item 5.1, adopt a mitigated negative declaration and approve the project titled The Village at 2092 Oakley Road, subdivision 9634. Request for approval of a general plan amendment, rezone, final development plan, tentative map, and design review for a 9.99 acre, 83 unit, single family residential subdivision project, APN 037-110-031. This item is going to be presented by Ken Strelo, our planning manager. We are ready to receive the staff report.
Thank you very much, and good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, and to all those in the audience. This is a planning project application, and it is for a residential subdivision. The application includes a multitude of entitlements, and this is a summary of those entitlements. It includes a general plan amendment to amend the land use designation of the property. It includes a rezone that goes along with the general plan amendment to rezone the property. A final development plan, which is a component of the rezone request to P1 district, which is a planned unit development district, a tentative map to subdivide the property into the single-family residential lots that are being proposed, as well as other improvements such as common areas, private streets, stormwater detention areas, and a small park. And then design review, which looks at the architecture of the home, the design of the landscaping, and the other aesthetic portions of the project. This project was subject to the California Environmental Quality Act, and a mitigated negative declaration is proposed for adoption. The location is just west of Empire Avenue, and it's on Oakley Road. So if anyone is familiar with the 7-Eleven and the Valvoline oil change station, or better yet, the large faux water tank cellular tower with the City of Oakley logo off of Main Street, this is the site, or where that water tower is the site of this project. And here you can see it is a rectangular site. It currently has 2 residences and a vineyard on it. It fronts on Oakley Road. A small portion fronts on Main Street, although there is no regular access from Main Street to the site. And it is surrounded on the north and west sides by the Eagle City Mobile Home Park. So background on the entitlements: the current general plan land use for the project is commercial, and the applicant is proposing to designate the property as residential medium. Residential medium is a residential land use designation that allows for up to 9.6 dwelling units per gross acre. The zoning is consistent with the current general plan. The zoning is General Commercial District, or C District, and the proposal is for a planned unit development district, a P1 district, which we often see with new residential infill development that's required to either put in parks, maybe a private road development with an HOA, or it needs some sort of stormwater detention basin. I won't go over this again, but this is just pointing out the surrounding uses. And on March 22nd, just a little bit of history, the applicant came to the City Council, this was March 22nd, 2022, to have a preliminary general plan amendment work session. At that time, they proposed the general idea that they had in mind to redesignate the site and develop it with the residential project. They showed, I believe, 3 different alternatives to site plans. They got feedback from the council. There was time for public comment, and they came back sometime later with the actual application, which is now in front of you today. The Planning Commission also held a public hearing. That was in February of this year. After the public hearing, the Planning Commission unanimously voted in favor of the project and passed a resolution recommending the City Council approve the project, which includes adoption of the mitigated negative declaration. During that hearing, there were conditions of approval, and they're in the attached Planning Commission resolution for certain changes to the project. And the Planning Commission asked that those changes be made prior to the project coming to the City Council. So the applicant made those changes to the plans. We received updated plans that are now part of your packet. And some of that includes additional architecture on the home, such as false shutters on certain elevations. It also included adding the CMU wall rather than just conditioning it, adding it, showing what it would look like in the plans, and that would be between the commercial and the residential site. And there were a few others as well. Project description for the general plan amendment is simply to amend the general plan from commercial to residential medium. It is a legislative action. It does require approval of a resolution in order to adopt, and the general plan amendment for this project is its own, it's a separate resolution from the other entitlements. The proposed rezone requires an ordinance to adopt, and that is a standalone document as well. And if approved, the entire site would be rezoned from the current C district to the P1 district. That would include the final development plan which is the overall site plan, development regulations such as setbacks, maximum heights, and all of those specifications of the project. Adopting a P1 district does not have any impact on the underlying general plan. That falls squarely with the general plan land use. And the final development plan, I've mentioned this a couple times already, but it is a component of the P1 district. Our ordinance lays out what needs to be in a final development plan. When staff reviews these applications, we look through the set of plans to make sure all of the pertinent and required information is present. Before I get into this slide, I just wanted to point out the bottom portion you see there, the bottom diagram is essentially what Oakley Road would be improved to, which would be a 4-lane divided roadway with additional parking and bike lane adjacent to the project. And then the image you see is a rendering of the project entrance on Oakley Road. One difference would be that this project, it's shown on some of the plans, it's not in this rendering, would actually have enhanced pavement at the entrance on that entry street. So the tentative map proposes to subdivide the approximately 10 acres. That should be 89 single-family residential lots. It has all private roads. The parking for this site, because it is a higher density single-family residential development, it's unique in its design, and we'll see that in just a second. The parking is essentially either in garages, 2-car garages, or on dedicated on-street 90-degree parking. This will not have what you would normally see in a slightly larger lot, lower density single-family residential neighborhood, which would be parallel parking along the street frontage. As you can see, the average lot size is just under 3,000 square feet, and most of them have a 40-foot wide lot frontage. There are 14 houses that will front Oakley Road, and for those houses, they will have porches, picket fences in the front, and they will have rear-loaded garages. So the tenants would, or the residents would enter the project site, and the garages would be back on the private road inside the development. This would include dedication and improvements to Oakley Road, as shown there on the bottom. As part of the tentative map, these are some of the amenities that would be proposed. The gang boxes for mail, the toddler playground, picket fence along Oakley Road. There's also a paseo area sort of right as you come into the entrance, other common areas as well, and then the CMU wall that would be built between the project and the adjacent commercial. And there's over 320 trees that would be planted on the site. 2 trees are proposed to remain, and those are over by the existing water tower, cellular tower. This is a design review. This is a frontage look of the Oakley Road entrance, just kind of what it would look like from far across the street, I suppose, and then a summary of the homes that are being proposed. There are 3 floor plans, 3 architectural styles, and each of those have 3 color and material options available. And this just gives an example of what you see in the plans when you open up to the elevations. This is the same floor plan in all 3 elevations, and then the color and materials in the middle coordinate with the larger front elevation on the left. And then for that floor plan, for this floor plan and this architectural style, you'll see 3 of those color and material elevations. Public comments. The City Council should have received 2 letters on this project that came in. Letter number 1 was from a representative of the Eagle City Mobile Home Park. In general, this is a staff summary of the letter. Of course, if you have the letter and you have questions, we'd be happy to address those. The request is to uphold the project approval to allow up to 2 weeks to review the drainage plans on this project and to request the plans be made available to interested persons and the public in general. And also request final approval of drainage plans in writing prior to project approval. So staff has looked over these letters. We've gone over everything and scrubbed all the conditions of approval and the plans. And staff's response to this is final drainage plans. We have preliminary drainage plans, which are analyzed by staff. The final drainage plans, which would have which would take a look at what project has been approved, see if there's any changes due to conditions of approval or other things. But it would go and it would give final design. Preliminary plans are not public record, so the requester could contact the applicant if they wanted those plans. Also, the project is conditioned to ensure final hydrology and hydraulic reports comply with the city ordinance, that the project can handle 10 and 100-year storm events, and that is in condition number 66 of the tentative map resolution. Tentative map, final development plan, and design review resolution. All three of those entitlements are included in there. Also, all of the residential paths will be graded to at least 1 foot above the 100-year storm event elevation. And the project will include a flood wall along the northern property line that kind of wraps around a little bit to the south of the detention basins on each side to protect Eagle City in the event of a 100-year storm, and say something was clogged downstream or something. There was a second letter received, and this was also from a gentleman representing Eagle City Mobile Home Park. And this one references one of the conditions in the tentative map resolution again, that requires, the city has required the developer to coordinate with Eagle City Mobile Home Park when doing the Oakley Road frontage improvements. The reason for that is that the city wants to make sure that the owner of Eagle City Mobile Home Park has an opportunity to receive some sort of cost benefit to do their frontage improvements, which were deferred from years prior when they added residential lots to the mobile home park that ended up fronting onto Oakley Road. The letter is requesting that that be reworded to remove the deferred improvement agreement. And the overall theme of the letter is that the deferred improvement agreement is no longer valid. Staff and the city attorney disagree with that interpretation. There's also concerns for the drainage of the site, and that since it would be homeowner association maintained, that would fail at some point. And the result would be potential flooding of the adjacent property. So staff's response to this letter is that the condition number 71, I sort of responded to this already, does not condition the owner of Eagle City Mobile Home Park in any way to do any improvements. Those are existing conditions under existing agreements. But it does provide for the opportunity, and it requires the developer of this project to give them the opportunity to work together on improvements. And also, it's stated there that there is 3 different documents that are existing with the Eagle City Mobile Home Park. It's our opinion that the validity of those is not a subject of this project or these entitlements. And as part of this project, the validity of those is not up for discussion or debate. Here's a second response, and this has more to do with the comments on the homeowners association and the drainage. These comments they're valid comments. This is definitely something that could potentially happen. However, we feel everything is covered. Staff believes everything is covered here. The HOA would be required to maintain the facilities. However, they're also required to enter into a standard agreement per condition number 86. That agreement is done on other projects. That agreement includes standard language that does require right of entry for the city and other agencies such as the fire district, mosquito and vector control, and the health department to be able to give notice and come in and inspect the site. Also, in the event that the HOA or whatever the maintenance corporation is for those facilities, if it's found that maintenance is inadequate, the city would have the right, per the agreement, to step in, make things right, and recover cost. For the environmental review, an initial study was done pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act. Mitigation was proposed that would reduce all potentially significant impacts to less than significant level. Rainey Planning and Management conducted this initial study on behalf of the city, and we do have Mr. Rod Stinson here in the audience to answer any technical questions on the CEQA document should those arise. 8 of the 21 impact categories did require mitigation. Some of these are fairly standard mitigation that we have in all projects, such as the requirement to stop any grading should artifacts be found and contact the proper authorities and Native American representatives. And then things that apply to our grading plan to control dust, things of those nature. This project's also subject to the Habitat Conservation Plan and Natural Community Conservation Plan. The city is part of that plan. It's part of the East Contra Costa County. It includes Brentwood, Pittsburgh, Oakley, Clayton, and the county. And as part of this project, it's expected this development would owe, based on current fees, about $200,000 in impact fees. Those fees are used to operate the conservancy and do mitigation, usually outside the urban limit line, for habitat preservation and conservation. Staff's analysis on these entitlements, the amendment from commercial to RM would make the property more consistent with the surrounding residential uses, however, less consistent with the adjacent commercial. It is found, and we go back to the preliminary general plan amendment, that since this is not a major arterial, that this site would be a good site if we were to convert any commercial to residential. And so the applicant heard those thoughts and came back with this project. So this would not only provide infill residential development adjacent to other residential development, but it would also provide infill residential development within walking distance of 2 of the city's most major bus stations on Main Street and up to 3 different commercial shopping centers, Rayleigh, Lucky, and even the Round Table Starbucks area. And it's not too far from downtown, maybe about a mile. For the rezone, there are a few findings, and one of them is construction reasonable in 2 years? Well, it is. Whether the applicant today becomes the developer or they build the site, depending on market conditions, there's no reason this project couldn't move forward and start construction within 2 years. The density and the type of development would be aligned with the general plan that's being proposed, the general plan land use. And this would be a desirable type of development in that it provides for a unique and different housing type in the city of Oakley. And it would be HOA maintained to ensure that these front yards and common areas stay landscape and aesthetically pleasing for the residents. The P1 district is justified because this type of development is not something that's typically thought of when going through our conventional zoning districts. So the P1 would allow for those development regulations to apply directly to the project. The tentative maps findings are a little more straightforward. The site's physically suitable for the project. It can fit the project can work on the site. The subdivision itself is not expected to result in any serious public health problems. And then public improvements are proposed and conditioned, and those will be a benefit to the city. We will have, and the residents of the city, they will close in a small gap of sidewalk between them and the gas station. They'll have new sidewalk, bike lane along their frontage, and it will just be a continuation of those improvements as the city starts to develop or continues to develop. The design review, the plans are consistent with the RM designation, the residential medium general plan designation, and the proposed P1 district. Obviously, the plans are part of the P1 district. The residential siding and light design and lot design, it does lack some of the normal setback variation we would see and ask for. However, this is a unique project. The garages are almost up against the street. All of the variation is in the front yards, which are all pedestrian accessed. There are changes in the roof plans, and those even vary within the same plan type, and the architecture is generally consistent with the Oakley residential design guidelines. With that said, that concludes my report, my staff report. The applicant also has a PowerPoint. They showed the Planning Commission. They asked if they could also show the City Council. And staff does recommend the City Council adopt the mitigated negative declaration and approve the project. I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm happy to let the applicant present first and then answer questions per the wish of the council.
Does everybody want to see the applicant's presentation first before questions? I think that would be best.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Your question?
Would you like to see the applicant's presentation before we ask questions?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Williams and council members. First of all, I'd like to ask, do I have a time limit in my presentation?
Right, 10 minutes.
Or so? Okay. I shouldn't take that long. My name is Ralph Strauss with SDG Architects. We're located in Brentwood. I'd like to thank staff for the very thorough review of this project over the last 2 years. And I will work hard not to repeat anything that's been said. I'm just going to add some additional information for your consideration. There's a nice rendering of the entry to the project. 2 years ago, we were before the council to get your guidance related to the question about the change from commercial to residential. This is a slide from that time. Our site is in the green circle. The other commercial areas in close proximity are the red circles. And we talked about whether or not it was a viable commercial site. The site has some limitations for commercial use. We did study all sorts of different uses for our client when we were considering this initially. But some of those items, that red line represents a visual and barrier to Main Street from the site. We're right in and right out off of Oakley Road, limited visibility. All those things did not work for commercial consideration. So at that time, we presented 3 different concepts for ways to design the site. Of those 3, they were all pedestrian-based because we feel that's very important in the location so that it can support the commercial uses that are nearby and allow a very nicely pedestrian-oriented community. This is the final product of that process. It's pedestrian-oriented in that everything is, all the homes are oriented around paseos. These are pedestrian walkways that go through the neighborhood. We do have homes that are facing out to Oakley Road, which give just a wonderful small town feel, visual eyes on the street approach to Oakley Road. Same thing happens down the paseos. There had been some discussion with the council previously about parks, and there's some guidance to do 2 individual parks that were age-specific to different groups that would live in the community, and that has been done as well. These paseo homes, you may have seen this type of home before, but these, I think, are very unique in that not only do we have the pedestrian paseo to access the porches, and all the front porches face onto them, but then each of these homes also has a small backyard. And you'll see that in a moment on the floor plans, but it's a very nice feature for this type that gives both public interaction areas and private rear yards to the homes. And then we have an abundance of parking on the site that is very nicely distributed across the site, so we don't anticipate any parking issues at all, in addition to the 2-car garages that all of the plans have. We have a couple of perspectives for you. This is the park at the entry to the site. You see as you first enter the site. And you get a view down into the paseo here with the way that the porches address the pedestrian walkways on the site as well. This is an aerial view of the same location. Also, we've wrapped architectural elements around when you see sides of homes and things to keep them visually appealing. In addition, the additional requests from Planning Commission have been added with some additional shutters and things like that to further enhance the homes. The view that you've seen before from Oakley Road and the street seen above, you can see the roofline articulation. We think we've created a tremendous variety of exterior elevations and will be a very nice street scene. Staff pointed this out as well. This is the same floor plan shown with the 3 different elevation styles and the way that we alter the roof lines. We alter the materials. Each one of those has a different type of roof material on it, and the colors for a very nice variety. And we do this 3 different times for the 3 different floor plans. I'm not going to grind through all of those for you, but here's a floor plan of one of the plans, and the porch is at the bottom of the floor plan there. It's a large porch that would be facing out to the paseo, and then you can see to the left of the garage would be the private rear yard for the home, and that's going to be very unique, and the folks who live here will really enjoy that space. So public space, private space. These are the additional elevations, and I'm going to move through these quickly. And then, as was pointed out, with 3 floor plans and 3 different elevation styles and 9 color and material palettes, essentially we have 81 different possibilities for the 83 homes. So there will not be very much repetition. There'll be a wonderful variety across the site plan. We agree with all of the conditions of approval that are in the staff report. We have the rest of the team here with us, including the civil engineer, to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you very much.
Do any members of the City Council have questions for either staff or the applicant? Councilmember Fuller?
Yes, for staff, if I can comment first, I think the project is lovely. It fits into what we approved and what our intent was to put down there. It looks like it's be very nice. My biggest question is the north section. I think I may have mentioned that with Eagle City and the trailers. I can understand, but well, let me just ask the questions first. Have we talked to Eagle City? And if so, what's the fruition of those talks?
We have met with the manager and owner of Eagle City. And what was the specific question about on the north?
The fruition, what the substance, the context, the final talk or summary.
Right. So I want to be careful to not try to give the opinion of Eagle City. We have met with them in person with the applicant, and some of the topics were regarding the Oakley Road improvements and some of the stuff that I covered in the public comments. Others were concerns on drainage from the property encroaching onto Eagle City. We feel there is an engineering solution to that, which has been worked out with the project engineer, and that will be in the final design plans. It's also in the preliminary design plans. But as far as for or against the project, generally speaking, I don't think they're against the development. They just are asking some of these details be worked out, and so they can feel confident they will work out.
My understanding is Eagle City will not see the drainage until the entitlements. I'm not quite sure how that works, but
Yeah, so we have preliminary plans that look at the conceptual drawings that are presented to the public, the Planning Commission, and the council. If the applicant and the engineer are willing to release those plans to Eagle City or their representatives, they're free to do so. The city would not step in to stop that. Or if they gave us permission to release those plans. Again, staff is of the belief that the plans meet our ordinance and that we're capable of, that the project is capable of holding up to a 100-year storm in the event drainage is even clogged downstream for a period of 24 hours. So there's more than adequate drainage. In the event there was a failure to maintain, again, the city would have the right to inspect, step in, and recover cost if necessary.
One other question. You mentioned that we can step in if if things go sideways and HOA cannot or will not remedy the situation. How would that process work? And the reason I'm asking is it seems like we've added an extra step. I know that if we have the street and we are flooding houses and forcing people out, we will take immediate action to ensure the safety and well-being of everybody that's being affected. But what would happen if the drainage did not work and there was water going into Eagle City? How would Eagle City rectify that?
Those are questions I cannot answer for you right now. Under that event, that would be something beyond what is being designed for. So there would need to be a breach of a flood wall. There would be well over a 100-year storm in that event, and there'd probably be flooding across the city and going into properties adjacent all over the place.
What I'm saying, if for whatever reason the drainage design doesn't work,
Yes.
it fails for whatever reason, it seems like Eagle City would first have to go to the HOA and get them, see if they're going to remedy the situation. And if they do not, then they can go to the city. So it may be an extended period of time before the city even looked at it and the remedy will even be found. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but the reason I'm saying that, if there is something wrong, I don't know if the HOA is going to be able to afford remedying it on an easy basis. So anyway, that answers my question.
Understood.
I know I had a question originally about the sale price. Obviously, these are smaller floor plans, smaller lots. A couple of city council meetings ago, I talked about what our average income is here and what type of home you can afford with that. So I know when we first met a couple years ago, it was around the 600,000 mark that you were thinking. Are we still there at that?
Hi, evening, everybody. I'm Owen Poole, co-applicant on this, and good question, Mayor. It's hard to say. The answer's hard to say. We've just recently gone through a complete financial analysis. We're actually in the process of vetting the improvement costs. Oakley Road and the Main Street improvements are about $1.2 million. We're trying to vet that. I think the answer to that question really lies in where all the costs come down. We're trying to target the project to be as affordable as possible, is the best answer I can give you today. We're checking our hard costs. Looks like it's about $110 a square foot just to build the sticks, just go vertical. So we're working it, and we're working it hard. I would like to make a comment about the concern about the drainage, if I may, while I'm here. I live in an HOA. I have since the late 80s. I've lived in this HOA. We're 14 homes. And there are certain things in our HOA budget that we never move. And one of them in our HOA budget for where we live is our reserve for paving, and the other is our insurance. Those two, no matter what happens, they're there. What I'd like to say about this project and the drainage issue is there'll be a recorded operations and maintenance agreement. That agreement records prior to recordation of the final map. And that document runs with the property. That document will be front and center, first item of budget in that HOA. And what I'd also like to say about that in general and speaking with the HOA is that there's a blanket easement over all of those roads. There's step-in rights for the city at all times, for emergency services at all times. I would find it to be amazing if somebody were to say, let's eliminate the drainage from our budget. I don't think we need that anymore. That one is just not going to happen here. So I just wanted to address that to Mr. Fuller's comment.
Thank you.
Any other questions for me?
I still have follow-up questions, but I think it's for you too. So I know we talked about the commercial viability of the space years past, and I know you guys were trying to market it. During this time when you've gone back to sort of look at it, have you continued to try to market it for commercial uses?
No, we haven't. We haven't tried, and you know, the financial markets are really, really tough for anything commercial. I happen to have another project that has a commercial component to it, and it's, suffice it to say, it's extremely difficult right now with what's going on with our market and interest rates.
Okay, and then my last question on this. So the in and out was sort of an issue for the commercial viability. How is that going to be any different for residents and all of their cars in and out? What's making it so that it's not so difficult any longer for that aspect?
Well, first of all, with the commercial, it's constant every day, in and out. With a residential project, it's, you know, in and out for school, for work, and back. It's the trip generation is far lower. You're welcome. And we do have our civil here if you have any further questions. Thanks.
Okay, seeing no more questions from City Council, I will now open the public hearing. We already received comments from the applicant, right? So we can go on to public comments. I do have one speaker card for this. So we will call up that speaker. I think it's Peter Kamada. Sorry, I tried.
Yes, I'm Peter Canepa. I'm the managing family member of Eagle City, and it's a family-owned property. We've owned it and managed it for 62 years. And yeah, it looks like a nice development to me, but yeah, and again, Kent's mentioned most of my concerns, and but it is the drainage. So just to get started, I couldn't figure it out from what the plans were, so I hired my own engineer to help me with that. And this is what he came up with, and this is where, as far as I know, where we are at this time. The project site is located immediately upslope to Eagle City. The project site is currently undeveloped, and the existing highly porous soils that cover the entire site currently allow nearly all the storm water to soak into the soil without running off the site. However, the proposed project will cover nearly all of the existing porous soils with pavement, roofs, and other impervious surfaces, would greatly increase the stormwater runoff. Since the project site largely slopes directly towards Eagle City, it is critically important that the stormwater facilities that will be constructed as part of the project be designed and constructed to protect Eagle City from effectively capturing and conveying this huge volume of new stormwater runoff to downstream stormwater facilities. Toward that end, I appreciate and strongly support the inclusion of condition of approval 66, which prescribes requirements for how the project design and required supporting documents will be reviewed by the city. And while I view the city's review process favorably, I would like to request that my engineer also be provided with all the drainage improvement designs and other supporting documents as soon as they are available, so we can review the design and provide input as might be appropriate to the city review process. Towards that end, I hereby request that the city staff keep me informed as the project review process moves forward, so that we are able to review the stormwater drainage design and supporting documents as soon as they're available. That's it.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comments on this? Okay, seeing none, I will now close the public hearing and call for deliberation of the council. Councilmember Meadows.
So I'll repeat what I said basically 2 years ago. I would agree that it's not the best site for commercial. I agree with that. It's a tough site. But I believe at that council meeting said I didn't really like your project. I think I said I favored A out of the three, but I really didn't care for any of them. And I still don't. So I don't think I'll be voting for it.
Councilmember Fuller.
As I mentioned earlier, I can understand Eagle City's position. Having driven by that location, not in the location, but in the roads that lead there, is farm country. Yes, I can understand the soil is porous there for rainwater, and that's what's been keeping the water from running everywhere. So now we're going to pave it, and I can understand Eagle City's concern. However, I appreciate the second speaker coming up about the HOA, and I feel a whole lot better because he mentioned the I word, insurance. And I would hope that the HOA not only gets a reserve, but has insurance. Again, going back to Eagle City, that's the trouble with the people that are living there. If they do get flooded, it's going to be a tough position to be in. They're in mobile homes. The lots are small. It doesn't take much to flood a mobile home and force them out of their homes. So, but the final consideration is I'm satisfied that every step that has been taken to use that portion of the city to the best advantage of the people in the city and the city's interests to go forward. And I do believe we've taken considerable thought about the drainage. I do agree it'd be nice. I got to stay neutral on this, but I'm sure, I think people will see it would be nice if the civil engineer from Eagle City could look at the plans before we go forward. It might alleviate some angst, keeping in mind he also has to keep the residents over there happy. So it might just make a happy family, but I'll just leave it at that. What?
I think they're agreeing to that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Shaw.
So the affordability, when I was hearing the $600,000, if that's the starting, and I know you didn't say that, but in my brain, that's kind of where I'm going. If that's the starting for these smaller square footage, it's really going to price a lot of people out of what I was hoping to be another type of housing within our city. We need more. We need different types of houses. We have a lot of, these will still be single-family homes, but it's unique. It's different than what we see and what we have. I think that it's not perfect, but you guys can work all day and try to make it perfect for one of us, and then the next one will find something that we don't like. So I would really ask you guys to make sure you're crunching those numbers, and if this is something that comes here, the affordability side of things is important for these smaller. These are going to be startup homes, essentially, not a forever home for somebody. They're going to grow out of it pretty quickly at this size. So being a starter home is going to be hard at a much higher rate. So it's just a comment that I have.
Yeah, I'm just having a hard time with that too. As I mentioned a couple council meetings ago, I talked about how our average median income here can afford a $500,000 home. So I just have a really hard time approving a rezone from commercial, and I fully get it. Like, I understand. It's just really hard for me to realize that those won't even be current Oakley people who can afford it. It's probably going to be people from, where the income is higher, but they want to move out here for a more affordable home, but it's still pricing out our residents. So I'm struggling a little bit with that portion of it for sure. Like Vice Mayor Shaw said, I really like the idea of this sort of different sort of product. I was asking the city, I can't think of any place else where we have this sort of design and stuff, so I like that aspect of it. I'm just really having a hard time with knowing that I will sign off on a project that our median income residents can't afford, so I'm struggling a little bit there. That being said, does anybody want to make a motion?
Well, I will move the project as presented. Approval.
But that's with the conditions that are in there, right? With the conditions, is that kind of how the motion read? Sorry, I just want to make sure if I second
Yeah,
something, it's.
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing your condition.
No, I was asking if the way it was presented by staff was to make they recommended the approval with conditions? Is that the planning
To
commission's
adopt,
condition?
adopt the mitigated negative declaration and approve the project as condition.
As
That
condition,
would
sorry,
be-
I
that
saw
would
the
be
word
adequate.
condition and I got confused. So I will second this because I'm looking forward to something different, and I'm going to hold out hope that it stays affordable.
Okay, so we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposition?
No.
No. Any abstentions? All right, so it passes 3-2. No, no. I was a no, you were a no. Yeah. Everybody correcting me on my motions today, like the numbers, I got it. It's 3-2. Still passes. All right, that moves us on to our item 6, regular calendar. There are no regular calendar items. Taking us to item 7, reports. I will turn it over to City Manager Mr. McMurray for your report.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, and members of the public. I would like to touch on real briefly the cyber attack incident that we've been dealing with for the past few weeks. I would like to state for you and for the public's benefit, happy to present that we are back to business as usual. So all services have been fully restored. We do plan to bring a resolution forward at the March 26th meeting to end the local state of emergency, and thus we will close down the Emergency Operations Center. With that, and also I'd like to state that we are actively taking steps to ensure our network and our systems in place are as secure as humanly possible. It's going to be an ongoing effort, and we'll have more to update the council in the coming months on that one. The business license update letter B of my report is for February. That has been attached to the agenda. And lastly, I'd like to give a brief high-level overview of some of our more higher-profile commercial and industrial projects in the city. So we're going to start with something that has been long awaited for by our residents, by the council, by previous councils, by staff here, and it's a project called Oakley Shops at Laurel Fields. But this is the Safeway project. This is the Safeway-owned parcel. This is at the northeast corner of Laurel and O'Hara. This is a site that had a previous entitlement by Safeway. It expired years ago. about 2 decades ago. And staff has been working for years with the property owner, with Safeway, to bring a project like this to the city. So this is what I would call a big deal for us. We don't get projects like this all the time. This is about a 9-acre site, and it's about 81,000 square feet of retail and commercial space. So we're happy to present this to the public. It's on our website. The plans are available to look at. I'd say the applicant, who is Regency Centers, a national, well-known, respected developer, they have put a lot of time and attention to the architecture. So as you view the plans online, you'll see a really well-designed center. It is going through the review process right now, and I can say we are, just like any commercial or industrial project in the city, we really try to expedite everything that we see, because that is one of the, I think, competitive advantages that we do have. We expect to bring this to the Planning Commission mid this year, I'd say around the June timeframe. So we are working as hard as possible to get that presented to the Planning Commission for approval. The next project was submitted late last year, mentioned by former Mayor Meadows. It was submitted the day of the council meeting, December 12th, and this is Bridgehead Industrial Project. This is a 3 million square foot office warehouse logistics center project that will complement and continue the development that North Point constructed on the far west end of the city. This project encompasses 164 acres on 2 parcels. Like I said, about 3.1 million square feet. They anticipate a 6 to 10 year build out. And not uncommon when we were looking at the logistics center that is constructed now and working with that developer, we were looking at a 5 to 7 year build out. And it was all dependent really on users. And when they submitted that project, they didn't have any users in tow. This developer is in that same boat. They've submitted a project without users, but as the project gets closer to receiving an entitlement, I expect that to pick up the marketing of the property. And although they're right now saying they're going to start with phase 1, which is building 6 on the far west end of the site, we'll just have to see how that goes, and we're going to do everything we can to assist them in both marketing the site and finding viable users. The next project is Delta Point Plaza. This is a project that has been presented to the council, not in this form, but we've discussed this project twice. We had to identify this site as surplus land. We went through the Surplus Land Act notification process, so that was one time we presented this to the council. The second time was a purchase and sale agreement with R&R Construction. They have constructed the mercantile building that is just south of this site, and that project is real alive, and we are going to start seeing tenants occupy that building very shortly. There's one in there now, open for business, and more to come in the next few months. So this is the city's first vertical mixed-use project. It's a 2-story project. It's about 7,000 square feet on the ground floor, several commercial spaces that can be combined if the uses require that, and also 7 apartment complexes on 7 apartment units on the second floor. And I should note that the ground floor does feature 1 accessible apartment unit. So this is also an exciting project, something that will add to our downtown, and something that will bring in new businesses that we are actively trying to attract here. And lastly, I'd like to discuss the Live Oak Industrial Park project. This is also an exciting project because it will deliver to the city a product that we don't really have right now. These are, I'd say, industrial flex spaces, and they are processing this as a condominium map project. So there'll be 4 separate lots. Each lot will contain 2 buildings. Each building is 8,000 square feet and would be able to house 2 tenants in each building. So something that's, like I said, a different project and a different product type for the city, but we're excited to see that one submitted, and we are looking to hit the Planning Commission in the next couple months, and then a final City Council approval. So with that, that highlights the 4 projects that I wanted to present, but I'm available for any questions if you have any.
I have a question, but it's not one of the projects here, so I'm apologizing for that. I just know that Safeway spurred a lot of excitement and a lot of people asking about the grocery store on East Cypress. Do we have any forward momentum on anything out there?
I don't have an update for you on that site. You know, it's privately owned. You know, they indicated when they submitted that project that they were going to construct the gas station, the convenience store, and the car wash first. I know the plans are in a state where I believe we can issue the permit, but nothing has been issued yet. And it's a good reminder for the community. You know, I know we've been talking to folks, and we've heard you know, of residents that area that want to see different uses in that center. You know, and we do the best we can to attract users here, but you know, the commercial and the retail businesses, they really have it down to a science. I mean, there is not one of them that you can't go to that have their entire business model and requirements on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And they, you know, they're happy to give you that information, but if you're not checking the boxes, they're just not going to come. And it doesn't matter really what we do. They're in the business of making money, and they're in the business of, you know, as I would put it, hitting a grand slam and not just a home run. So we try our best, and although we're actively marketing that site and talking to folks, it takes a lot of things to make a deal happen. And unfortunately, we can't make things happen that aren't reality. So although we're actively talking to the property owner, I don't have an update in terms of their timing or any other users that they've identified or are talking to.
Thank you. All right, I think we can move on to 7.2, which is reports from council liaisons to regional committees, commissions, and boards, and Oakley City Council. Oakley City Council acting as a successor agency to the Oakley Redevelopment Agency. All right, Councilmember Fuller.
Yes, in February, I don't have the exact date, I should, but I attended a special meeting with the Diablo Water District. It concerned a merger with our co-governance with the Randall Bowl Water Treatment Plant, how they could come together and move. DWPD put forth a strong case, and for starting with is we have the lowest rates of water, surprising, in Contra Costa County. However, DWD still has their capital investment they have to maintain, which is always the trouble with the water. They need to reduce the water consumption, but raises the rates because of the capital investment to deliver the water. So Oakley also needs to improve its water. We've heard that its water could be softer, so these discussed that. They also talked about groundwater. There is an aquifer underneath us, as we're aware now. So there is a groundwater option that will be coming together. And plus, there's pressure from the state to come together. So overall, putting the facilities together will help alleviate some of the capital investment, labor costs, and others. And that was proposed, and the Randall Bold Water Treatment Plant declined very politely, and so it did not take place. I did, just before coming tonight, I did look at AB 1657. It is out of committee. Buffy Wicks, the assembly person who introduced it from Berkeley, the Berkeley area, did come over and make some amendments, but not much. I have to look at it, but I only saw a couple of blue blue words in there. It's still, in looking at it as much as I could, be not reading it, the state with AB 67 will continue to retain the ability to govern us as here in the local area, modifying the RENA numbers. And that's probably the biggest thing that I have. Keep in mind, Jesse Arreguin, who's really put this together, is now in the state senate. He'll be a state senator from the same area as Buffy Wicks, so you can imagine how that's going to work together. And they are both unhappy with the RENA numbers in the west side, and so it comes back here. Not only that, ABAG has a housing committee meeting tomorrow, along with BAFA on March 13th at 12. And then on the following Friday, they have a Bay Area, and this is the one that scares me and more, and I haven't seen it before, but the Bay Area Regional Collaboration, which is taking all the MTC, BAFA, ABAG, there's a laundry list of about 5 or 6 organizations within ABAG, and having now a Bay Area Regional Collaborative, and that's what they've been working for, is to get a regional government. So with that, I wish I had better news, but that's it. And I'm sorry, it's going to be nice when people ask, when are we going to get a Safeway where I live? And I can say, it's coming. So thank you.
All right, Vice Mayor Shaw.
So I had Tri-Delta Transit on the 28th, and I have to highlight that meeting because Mayor Williams was not able to make it. So they're working on pairing paratransit with the Clipper cards. Currently, it is not paired, and they are going to start with a pilot program in San Francisco in 2025, hoping that Tri-Delta Transit will be late 2025, early 2026, so all will be under one Clipper. The Summer Youth Pass program was approved, so June 1st through August 31st, ages 15 through 17 can purchase a pass for $30. It's good on all fixed route and express buses, but not valid on paratransit or Try My Ride. And just to note, 2023 Tri-Delta was the highest purchased passes in all of the organizations that participate. They are still working on increasing ridership, like all transit, since the pandemic. So Tri-Delta will be doing a comprehensive operational analysis to make sure that we're meeting the riders' needs. And the last COA that was done was in 2020, but it was more focused on the Oakley Park and Ride, and this will be a full review. So that's Tri-Delta. On the 29th, I attended the East Bay Division meeting for Cal Cities, and Lori Wilson was in attendance, and so we actually got to sit and talk with her a little bit. We have another meeting on the books with her later this month. On March 6th, the city, Rotary, and the school district, along with other sponsors, did a Girls Empowerment Day where all 8th grade girls from both our middle schools came together for a day of really good speakers, and I got to attend that. Later that night, I was honored to host the chamber mixer, and Chief Beard was my guest, and he did an amazing job, along with Scott Wanamaker from the fire district and a representative from the sheriff's department, talking about recruiting more women in law enforcement. But I do want to thank the chief for bringing some handouts. There was a lot of information for local businesses on how to stay safe in the world of home-based businesses, where we're either going out to people's homes or people coming to our homes. So I thought that was really important. And then I got to be a judge at the Oakley's Got Talent on the 9th. And let me tell you, you guys, it is really hard to break somebody's heart. But we only had 4 winners. We only had the 4 trophies. And so as much as it was an honor, I hope I never have to do it again.
Councilmember Henderson.
On March 5th, I attended the Iron House Sanitation District, and nothing to report out from that.
All right. A bunch of mine are going to be duplicates. Vice Mayor Shaw, I loved the event. It was really, really, the chamber mixer was really, really good. I think the chief, the place was packed because they were all there to see him, but he gave really, really good tips for businesses, and I think that was really important. So I appreciated that. I also went to Cal Cities, and I'm very excited about the meeting we have with Lori Wilson's office coming up. There's some exciting things, hopefully, that we're trying to push forward. Let's see. I also was a judge. I also did not like making children cry, so maybe we can revamp that next year. And then went to the mayor's conference. We had a presentation by the Northern California College Promise Coalition, which is meant to achieve collective impact across 13 California counties. It offers career development, mentorship, scholarships. I did think it was important to highlight a program that I didn't know about called Cal Kids, which provides any student born in California a college savings account. The state of California is behind it, and it gives children in California a jump start on saving for college or career training. To be eligible for Cal Kids, participants must be born in California on or after July 1st, 2022, or an eligible low-income public school student in grades 1 through 12, and they start out with $1,500 in their savings account, so I thought that was great. We also had a presentation along the same lines with Richmond Promise and what they're doing, which was founded by the city of Richmond, but it operates as a 501c. Let's see. And then we went on to talk about city selection for appointments to the DPC. Applications are due by March 19th. MTC, there is some legislation, transportation legislation, Senate Bill 925, but it won't be introduced before 2026, meant to address the fiscal cliff of BART, Muni, and transit like that. We got a report about the Air District lawsuit against the refineries. There is a backlog of fines and required improvements for reducing emissions. East Bay Regional Parks District is doing a presentation on March 16th for women botanists throughout history. All 15 of DeSaulnier's community project fundings look like they will pass. We are the recipient of one. Cal City's webinar on the 2,100 bills that will be introduced this cycle. You can watch it on their website. And we did have a speaker who wanted to highlight that there is free RV wastewater disposal available at Imhoff Drive and Solano Drive. We also had the opportunity to get together with the other mayors and city managers of Pittsburgh, Oakley, Antioch, Brentwood. So happy to have that collaboration going, and I think that's everything I went to. All right, that moves us on to future requests for future agenda items. Is there any future agenda items, any council member? Vice Mayor Shaw.
So first of all, I'll put out there that this is not any time-sensitive future meeting, but at our governance training, there was a conversation about doing a joint meeting with the Planning Commission, and now that they've kind of been in it for a while, and we have these, suggestions to the council, I think it would be great to do a joint meeting with them when their plate is not full, our plate is not full, and what works for you guys. So nothing urgent, but something I would like to see come up.
I would second that. I would like to have that collaboration.
Can you summarize that? What you're intending?
So just to have a joint meeting with the city council and the planning commission sometime maybe this summer, where we can just be all in one room and make sure, they know what it is that we're looking for, and we can kind of get an idea of what it is how they're feeling about the planning commission. But just a joint meeting, it was brought up at our governance training as a suggestion.
Thank you. Okay.
It looks like that's the last request for future agenda. So that brings us to item 8. There are no work sessions. Item 9, there also are no closed sessions. So that brings us to adjournment. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned. The next regular meeting will be held Tuesday, March 26, 2024, beginning at 6:30 in the Oakley City Council chambers. We invite all of the community to attend.